Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Thursday, April 26, 2018. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We've got a little bit of a bounce here over the last session plus. In the previous session, we dropped down below the Monday low, was not able to hold below it, and failed back up. And now you can see that price is holding and pushing beyond the previous session's high. That could be a short-term bounce opportunity. As a matter of fact, a lot of tech is actually looking quite bullish here after yesterday's lows, like Amazon, Netflix, Baidu, Adobe, several tech giants here with major rejection tails after the rotation down. So this is interesting to see how it's going to play out. Are we going to see a bounce perhaps back toward 2703? Again, the playing field is becoming very shortened here in the ES, and the bigger, better moves are going to come at the extremes. And as we continue to chop in here, the short-term waves are just back and forth, back and forth. So right now, are we going to push higher toward 2703, maybe as high as 2720? Or are we going to fail and start to drop back down? So this, again, can be very tricky. Got to be careful and cautious in here. Short term, the direction is up. Any failure to hold the previous session's high price of 26.48 could be an indication that we're going to fail and push a little bit lower. So keep an eye on that level. If we take a look at the NQ here, you'll notice the NQ looks very similar, but with a more pronounced rejection candle in the previous session. Again, big tech giants like Amazon and others forming major rejection tails as well. That could be a sign that we could be seeing a push quietly back up. And again, we continue to chop above and below the 66.53, which is the midpoint of the larger range. And when you're that close to that midpoint, not a lot of opportunity presents itself. So we got to continue to be cautious, but the current short-term direction is up. And again, continue to watch the previous session's high price, 65.76 quarter. Any failure to hold that level could rotate this thing back down. Let's take a look now at crude oil. Here's a look at crude. Crude has been quite bullish overall. Every time we pull back into the 8 period or below the 8 period and into that high intensity trigger zone, it's been bought back up. The previous session here, there was a little bit of a failed new high, and so price rotated back down. I mentioned that you usually take out the low here. It took it out barely, just barely, and is already turning back around. So again, the crude oil chart continues to be quite bullish. It continues to hold above 66.29. All of that points to 70.41 as being the next upside target. Any failure to hold 66.29 opens up a return much lower, perhaps as low as 62.18. Looking at gold futures now. Gold, this one again is pushing lower right now in the short term, but at the same time continues to look quite choppy at this middle part of this larger range. The better opportunities come above 1630, rather 1360, and below the 1310s. So 1300 to 1306 is a great spot to look for a target as this thing continues to work its way downward. Once we get below 1306, 1300, that could be another opportunity to bring it back up. So right now the flow is to the downside. Failed new highs, pullbacks, those types of things could be a selling opportunity for a short-term continuation to 1300 to 1306. Lastly, taking a look at Bitcoin, you'll notice that Bitcoin has had quite a bullish run here. We had a very narrow range right here, 740-point range on a 5-day basis, a big upside break. We were looking for any pullback for a continuation into 9,500 to 9,900. We got that move yesterday, a completion of that move. Now you're seeing a little bit of a pullback, and that pullback again could be another opportunity to buy this thing. I mentioned before, a pullback as deep as 7,500 could still be a buying opportunity for a shot at 12K. So we could only be halfway done with this move. This pullback right now with the failed new low could be an opportunity to jump on board before the next push takes us above 10,500. So that's going to be something to watch out for here in Bitcoin. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.